14 miles from shore. No cell signal, no wind, and an engine that was running perfectly 5 minutes ago. Every year, thousands of boaters end up stranded, not because they hit something, not because they ran out of fuel, but because of one thing they never thought to check. Something hidden, something silent, something that was failing for months, and they had no idea. Here's the scary part. There's a simple 15-minute test that could have warned them. A test most boat owners have never done. A test that mechanics fail every single week. Before we dive in, quick question, drop it in the comments. When was the last time you actually checked your lower unit oil? Be honest. I want to know. And if you're serious about protecting your boat and your family on the water, hit subscribe and tap that bell. Because what I'm about to show you could save you thousands of dollars, or something far more valuable. Now, let me show you exactly what's hiding inside your outboard right now, and why it might be the most important thing you learn all year. There's a moment every boat owner knows. You turn the key, the engine rumbles to life, and you feel that surge of confidence as you pull away from the dock. The water opens up ahead of you. The horizon stretches out, and beneath the hull, your outboard hums with power. A machine you've trusted with your weekends, your family, your freedom on the water. For most owners, that trust is absolute. And why wouldn't it be? Modern outboards are marketed as marvels of engineering. Sleek, powerful, reliable. The brochures show smiling families cruising into sunsets. The commercials promise adventure without worry. Engineered for a lifetime on the water. One manufacturer proclaims. Another boasts of unmatched dependability, mile after mile. And when you're spending $15, $25, even $40,000 on a new outboard, you expect that promise to hold. You expect the engine to start when you need it, to run when you push the throttle, to bring you home when the day is done. In 2023 alone, more than 280,000 new outboard engines were sold in the United States. That's according to the National Marine Manufacturers Association. 280,000 buyers, each one making the same assumption. This engine will work. This engine will last. This engine is worth the money. But here's what those brochures never show you. Here's what the commercials conveniently leave out. There's a component on every outboard motor that sits completely underwater every single time you run your boat. It's called the lower unit, sometimes called the gear case. And it's the most critical, most stressed, and most neglected part of your entire propulsion system. Think of the lower unit as the transmission of your outboard. It takes the power generated by the engine above and transfers it down to the propeller below. Inside the housing, you'll find a complex arrangement of gears, bearings, seals, and a water pump impeller. These components work together under tremendous pressure, spinning thousands of revolutions per minute, all while submerged in water that wants to destroy them. Salt water corrodes. Fresh water carries debris. Temperature changes stress the seals. And every hour of operation pushes these components closer to their limits. Yet most boat owners never give their lower unit a second thought. They change the engine oil. They fill the fuel tank. They wash the boat after a day on the water. But the lower unit? It's out of sight, out of mind. A sealed mystery beneath the waterline. And that's exactly where the trouble begins. According to marine mechanics across the country, the majority of recreational boaters never inspect their lower unit between annual services, if they service it at all. One technician in Florida estimated that 70% of the boats coming through his shop had never had their gear oil checked by the owner. Not once. The owners simply assumed that if the engine ran, everything must be fine. But lower units don't announce their problems. They don't flash warning lights. They don't make obvious sounds, at least not until it's far too late. Instead, they degrade silently. Water seeps in through worn seals. Gears begin to grind against contaminated lubricant. Bearings wear down, fraction of a millimeter at a time. And the owner has no idea, right up until the moment the whole system fails. Manufacturers do include maintenance schedules in their documentation. They recommend lower unit service every 100 hours or once a year, whichever comes first. But somehow that message gets lost. Maybe it's buried in the owner's manual. Maybe it's overshadowed by the more familiar ritual of changing engine oil. Or maybe boat owners just don't realize what's at stake. By the time they find out, they're drifting. Walk into any marine repair shop on a Monday morning, and you'll see it. A row of outboards lined up on service stands, lower units removed, drain pans positioned underneath. And in those drain pans, you'll see the truth that boat owners rarely witness for themselves. Healthy gear oil looks like honey, amber, maybe darkening to brown with age, but clear, transparent, clean. That's what you want to see when you drain your lower unit. That's the sign of a system working as designed. But too often, what comes out looks nothing like that. Instead, it's milky, gray, the consistency of a melted milkshake. And when a mechanic sees that color, they already know the conversation they're about to have. When I see milky oil, I know I'm about to deliver bad news. One veteran technician in South Carolina told me that owner is looking at $1,500 to $4,000 in repairs if we catch it in time. If they kept running it, we're talking full gear case replacement. I've seen $6,000 bills on engines that just needed a $12 seal 2 years ago. That milky color means one thing. Water has gotten inside the lower unit, and water inside a gear case is a death sentence. It destroys the lubricating properties of the oil. It accelerates corrosion on every metal surface it touches. It turns precision-machined gears into grinding, self-destructing components. A survey published by Boating Magazine found that 1 in 4 outboards brought in for service showed signs of water intrusion in the lower unit. 1 in 4. That means if you're at a marina with 100 boats, statistically, 25 of them have water contaminating their gear oil right now. And most of those owners have no idea. So how does the water get in? That's where things get technical, and where understanding your outboard becomes essential. The primary culprit is the propeller shaft seal. This seal wraps around the shaft where it exits the gear case and connects to your propeller. Its job is simple: keep water out, keep oil in. But it operates in one of the harshest environments imaginable. Constant rotation, constant pressure, constant exposure to whatever's in the water around it. And here's the silent killer that mechanics see over and over again: fishing line. A single strand of monofilament wrapped around the prop shaft can work its way under the seal, creating a tiny gap. That gap lets water in, drop by drop, hour after hour. By the end of a season, your gear case is full of contaminated fluid, and you never felt a thing. The second weak point is the shift shaft seal, located where the shift linkage enters the lower unit. This seal is less visible, tucked up higher on the gear case, and often forgotten entirely. But it fails just like the prop shaft seal, through corrosion, impact, or simple age. Then there's the water pump impeller. While not directly related to oil contamination, this rubber component is critical to your engine's cooling system. It pushes water through the engine block to prevent overheating. But impellers degrade. The rubber vanes crack, warp, or break off entirely, especially if the engine ever runs dry, even for a few seconds. Most manufacturers recommend replacing the impeller every 2 to 3 years, or every 300 hours. Yet many owners run the same impeller for a decade, wondering why their engine runs hot. These aren't design flaws. They're maintenance items. They're components that engineers expect to wear out over time. The difference between a reliable outboard and a catastrophic failure often comes down to whether the owner understood that reality or ignored it. Let me tell you about a man I'll call David. He's a tournament bass angler from Texas, runs a 21-foot center console with a 250 horsepower 4-stroke. He's meticulous about his boat, washes it after every trip, changes the engine oil on schedule, keeps the hull waxed and the electronics updated. But in 5 years of ownership, David never once checked his lower unit oil. It was the third day of a regional tournament. He was 8 miles from the boat ramp, running hard toward his best fishing spot, when he heard it. A grinding sound from beneath the hull, followed by a violent shudder. Then nothing. The propeller stopped turning. The boat coasted to a halt in open water. David spent the next 4 hours waiting for the Coast Guard. He missed the tournament. He watched other boats pass him in the distance, their engines running fine, their owners unaware of the disaster unfolding just out of sight. When the mechanic finally opened his lower unit, the gears looked like they'd been through a blender. Metal shavings everywhere. The repair bill came to $5,200. I changed the engine oil religiously, David told me later. I never even thought about the lower unit. Now let me tell you about a family from Michigan. A father, a mother, 2 kids under 10. They owned a 24-foot bow rider, their summer escape, their floating living room. The father had noticed a slight whine coming from the outboard a few weeks earlier. Nothing dramatic, just a subtle sound that seemed to come and go. He figured he'd mention it at the next service appointment. 6 weeks later, that whine became a scream. The gear case seized completely during a family outing on Lake Huron. 4-foot swells, wind picking up, 2 children crying in the back of the boat, while their parents called for a tow that took 90 minutes to arrive. That sound was the gears grinding themselves apart. The father said, "I'll never ignore a noise again." These stories aren't rare. They happen every weekend, in every state, on every body of water where recreational boaters run outboard motors. And the financial consequences are just the beginning. A basic lower unit service, draining the oil, inspecting the seals, refilling with fresh lubricant, costs between $75 and $150. If a mechanic catches a worn seal early, replacement runs $200 to $500. Reasonable, manageable, the kind of maintenance cost that comes with boat ownership. But if you ignore the problem, if you keep running that engine with water in the gear case, a full rebuild starts at $1,500 and climbs from there. Complete gear case replacement can run $3,000 to $8,000, depending on the horsepower. On a high-performance outboard, I've seen estimates exceed $10,000. Industry analysts estimate that for every dollar spent on preventive lower unit maintenance, boat owners save an average of $14 in potential repairs. 14 to 1. That's not a marketing number. That's the math of neglect versus attention. But money isn't the only thing at stake. According to the United States Coast Guard, there were more than 4,000 reported boating accidents in 2022. Machinery failure was listed as a contributing factor in hundreds of those incidents. And those are just the reported cases. Boat US, the largest recreational boating assistance organization in the country, responds to over 70,000 on-water calls every year. The number one reason? Engine failure. A broken gear case won't kill you by itself, but being stranded 15 miles offshore when a storm cell rolls in, drifting into a shipping lane at dusk, running out of drinking water while you wait for a tow that's hours away. Those situations become dangerous fast. At this point, you might be wondering, why do manufacturers build lower units this way? If seals fail and water gets in and gears destroy themselves, isn't that a design problem? The answer is no. And understanding why is crucial to becoming a smarter boat owner. Your outboard's lower unit isn't flawed. It's operating exactly as engineers intended, within the constraints of physics and the realities of a marine environment. Every seal, every bearing, every gear inside that housing is a wear item. They're designed to last a certain number of hours under a certain set of conditions. But they're not designed to last forever. Nothing that operates underwater, under load, at high speeds, in corrosive saltwater or debris-filled freshwater can last forever. Compare it to your car. Your vehicle's transmission is sealed, filled with fluid, and often goes 100,000 miles between services. But your car's transmission doesn't sit submerged in salt water. It doesn't deal with fishing line wrapping around its output shaft. It doesn't experience the thermal shock of being dunked in cold water while running at operating temperature. Marine gear cases live in a hostile world, and they need attention that matches that reality. So what does that attention look like? What should you actually be doing to protect yourself? Here's a 15-minute inspection protocol that every boat owner can perform. It requires no special tools, no advanced mechanical knowledge, and no expensive equipment. Just a few minutes of your time and a willingness to look beneath the surface. First, start with a visual inspection. Look at the lower unit carefully. Check around the propeller shaft, the drain plugs, and the seams of the housing. Are you seeing any oil weeping out? Any signs of impact damage or corrosion? Is there a fishing line wrapped around the prop shaft? Remove any debris you find, and note any damage for further investigation. Second, perform a gear oil drain test. This is the single most important diagnostic you can do. Locate the lower drain plug. It's at the bottom of the gear case. Position a clear container underneath. Remove the drain plug first, Then remove the upper vent plug to allow air in. Let the oil drain completely and examine what comes out. Healthy oil will be amber or dark brown, and it will be transparent. You should be able to see through it. If the oil is milky white, gray, or has the consistency of a chocolate milkshake, you have water intrusion. If you see metal flakes or glitter in the oil, you have gear wear. Either condition requires immediate professional attention. Third, check for prop shaft play. With the propeller removed, grip the prop shaft and try to move it up and down, side to side. A small amount of movement is normal, but if you feel significant wobble or looseness, your bearings or seals are worn and need inspection. Fourth, at least once a year, have your water pump impeller inspected. This requires removing the lower unit, which most owners prefer to leave to a mechanic. But it's essential. A degraded impeller can leave you stranded with an overheated engine just as surely as a failed gear case. Beyond scheduled inspections, learn to recognize the warning signs that something is going wrong. A whining or grinding noise from the lower unit means gears are engaging abnormally. Difficulty shifting into gears suggests linkage or internal problems. Oil spots in the water behind your boat at rest indicate a seal leak. Overheating points to impeller failure. Propeller vibration often means bearing wear. Your lower unit will tell you when it's in trouble. The question is whether you're paying attention. These checks aren't complicated. They don't require a marine mechanic's license. They just require the understanding that your outboard needs more from you than fuel and an ignition key. If you're in the market for a used boat, let me give you the most valuable advice you'll ever receive. Before you hand over a single dollar, insist on a gear oil inspection. Not just a sea trial, not just a look at the engine hours. Demand that someone drain the lower unit oil and show you what comes out. A seller who refuses that request is a seller with something to hide. And a boat with no maintenance records isn't a bargain, it's a gamble. Factor in the cost of a full lower unit inspection and potential rebuild before you negotiate. Because what looks like a deal today can become a $5,000 headache tomorrow. For new boat buyers, the conversation starts at the dealership. Before you leave with your boat, make sure you understand the maintenance schedule completely. Not just engine oil changes, not just fuel filter replacements. Ask specifically about lower unit service intervals. Ask what the warranty covers and what it doesn't. In most cases, water intrusion damage is classified as owner neglect, not a manufacturing defect. That means if you skip maintenance and your gear case fails, you're paying for the repair yourself. For those of you who already own boats, and that's probably most of you watching this, here's the routine that will protect your investment and keep you safe on the water. At the start of every season, drain and inspect your gear oil. Check your impeller or have it checked. Visually inspect the prop shaft seals for any signs of wear or damage. This takes less than an hour and costs almost nothing if you do it yourself. Mid-season, stay alert. Listen to your engine. Pay attention to how it shifts. Notice if it's running hotter than usual. These small observations are your early warning system. At the end of every season, before you winterize, perform a complete lower unit service. Fresh oil going into storage means moisture won't have months to corrode your gears while the boat sits idle. Mechanics report that engines with documented annual lower unit service last an average of 30% longer before requiring major gear case work. 30%. That's years of additional life. Thousands of dollars saved. All from a maintenance routine that takes less time than washing your boat. But beyond the money, beyond the maintenance schedules and inspection protocols, there's something larger worth considering. Modern outboards are genuine engineering achievements. 300 horsepower, 400 horsepower, 600 horsepower from compact, fuel-efficient packages that would have seemed impossible a generation ago. The technology inside these engines represents decades of innovation, testing, and refinement. But no amount of engineering brilliance can overcome neglect. No design can protect against an owner who assumes the machine will take care of itself. The relationship between you and your outboard is a partnership. You provide the attention, the maintenance, the small investments of time and money. In return, the engine provides reliability, performance, and, most importantly, a way home. That's the contract. That's what boat ownership actually means. Your outboard doesn't ask for much. A little oil, a little attention. 15 minutes twice a year to check what's hidden below the waterline. That's the cost of trust. Because out there, miles from shore, with nothing but water in every direction, your engine isn't just a machine. It's your lifeline. It's the thing standing between a good day on the water and a story you never want to tell. Never trust your outboard with your life until you check this. And now you know exactly what to look for. The water's waiting. Go take care of your boat.